walking out now, knowing, I mean, I think you're knowing how high profile this case was.
It is very
What's going through your head?
sadness. It's sad. Whoops, I'm sorry. It's just sad that, you know, this has happened to Charles, and she's given up her life as well. It's sad.
What did you think of her defending herself? Anything that went through the jury's head with that?
Well, for me personally, I thought, what does she have to lose? Guilty or not guilty, what does she have to lose? So,
were any of you folks aware that this woman had already been
I had never been
convicted
heard.
of
I have never heard
3
of her.
homicides?
Yeah, no,
And
I've
the
never
jurors
heard of
did
her
not
before.
know that?
No, I did not.
And nobody brought it.
And ma'am, would you want to come in and talk too? Do you want to say anything?
Just because there's a lot of backstory here, and this woman had already been convicted of 3 homicides, and they obviously didn't want you folks to know that. Nobody knew that during your deliberations.
No.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Wow.
What was this experience like for you?
It was sad, like as he said. For me, it was the text messages that did it, as far as evidence. And I feel like we uncovered some lies.
Do you
So-
think
Knowing now that she was convicted of killing her 2 children in Idaho,
I haven't had a chance to Google everything. I'm sure as soon as we get on the shuttle. So might have more to say later.
was that difficult going through this and
Yes,
not being
it
able to be
was.
disconnected?
Yeah.
What
It
do you-
just
do you
felt
think
like
she-
there was a lot of information that didn't make sense and that was missing.
Do you think she did herself any favors by
No.
defending herself?
No,
You were not impressed with her
No.
lawyering skills?
no.
What did you think of her behavior during cross-examination? The way that at one moments she was argumentative with some of the witnesses.
I mean, many days she just was like smiling and laughing and didn't seem to take anything very seriously.
Were you hoping to hear how much of that did that play into a factor in the decision?
It did.
Were you hoping to hear her testify? Were you hoping to
Yes,
hear
I
all
was.
witnesses?
I was.
And what about you?
I didn't understand why she didn't call any witnesses.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I don't know.
Or why she didn't have, like, I know she made a statement about the only family that was interviewed was her estranged brother, and why wasn't her parents or her sister, but yet she didn't call them. So
I mean, in saying that, she is not obligated to prove her innocence.
exactly, yeah.
Except to,
And you gave her that benefit of the doubt. She recognized she didn't have to put on the defense.
she knew that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely, she knew that.
Was the fact that she didn't put up a defense or take the stand in her own defense part of your deliberation at all?
Did it
It was
affect
all
you?
evidence. It was all evidence that was produced
Yeah.
and presented to us.
Sorry if this was asked, what would you say the biggest piece of evidence for you guys as a jury was when you came to the decision?
Well, for me, like her, it was text.
The
Sex
text
were
history.
damning.
What
Texas.
What
Can you
specifically
tell
about
us
the
which
text?
Oh, there were so
I don't know
many.
if I can do that. Yeah, there was.
I
well,
mean,
there
we
was
had
2 of them for me
pages.
that really stood out.
Can
Which
you tell
ones?
us which ones?
The Nephi.
Yeah, that was one of them. Soon you will be Nephi, and so will I. So that was one of them. But I don't know if I should say anything.
We heard so much about dark spirits and religion and how this all plays into it. I mean, as a jury, what's going through your head when you start hearing that in court?
For me, that didn't really play a big role because you have to have evidence of conspiracy, and that is not evidence of conspiracy to me.
Was
Say
it-
somebody
Was it
possessed.
unusual for you guys to? I mean, you're talking about her brother Alex, the guy who actually did that was the triggerman. So many players were referenced in this trial, and you never saw them, and never heard
Correct.
from them. That had to be confusing when
It
you
was
guys got
very
back in the
confusing.
jury room. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
What did how
It
did-
just
what-
felt like there was so much of the story that was missing.
Did she have any valid arguments, like anything that made you think maybe she's not guilty?
Do you want to answer? I can't think of any.
You know, honestly, up until yesterday, I would have said not guilty. But when the prosecutor, I don't know, what do they call that? When they give their
Closing
say-
argument?
Yeah.
Argument.
Yes, the closing
Connected
argument.
the
That's
dots.
really there's a few things she said in there, and when I looked them up today, I was like, oh yeah, that's bad.
And you were still on the fence yesterday.
I was yesterday.
Give us a sense of what it was like to be in that jury room. Was there a point that someone was disagreeing, saying that maybe she is not guilty?
Yes.
Were you guys
There was
all...
a couple.
And what was that like? Walk us through that.
It's just a matter of, you know, adults working things out, going through all the evidence and figuring out, you know, what we thought, what we were going to come to an agreement with.
To learn now that everyone that was in that house that day, minus Daybell, is all not with us anymore, is dead or has been killed. I mean, what is that like to hear as jurors walking out?
Sad. Like, I kept wanting to hear from Tylee.
I was going to ask, is anybody wondering why Tylee wasn't testifying?
Yes.
You were.
Did you ever ask the judge why aren't they here? Or...
No. And the one witness that really got to me was hearing Kay. I was holding back my emotions.
Okay, Woodcock.
One of the
What it
biggest
was like in that
factors
room?
in your decision today.
One of the biggest factors was probably when we were sitting there, whenever they would ask a question about the Mormon stuff and all that, she would just kind of look at us and smile and smirk. So it kind of gave it away for a lot of it, just kind of didn't really care.
What were those conversations like in the jury room? I mean, going back and forth when everyone was deliberating. Can you kind of put us inside that room with you?
Let's see. It was kind of, so a lot of us already knew. A couple of us just needed the extra, we needed to re-look back through the evidence, the text messages and all that. So it was a little bit of back and forth, but all of us were pretty sure we already knew what we wanted.
Was there one piece of evidence that really convinced you she was guilty?
Probably when she said that he was Ned before they got rid of him. That was probably the part where we were like, okay, now it's real.
Did you ever wonder why Tylee wasn't testifying as a witness?
Yes. We didn't really have much to say about it though, because we didn't really know anything, why she didn't, stuff like that.
And do you understand now that every other witness that was there that day is now dead?
Yes.
When did you learn that?
At the end, when we first were walking out, everyone was talking about it, and we got told to look up her previous stuff so that we were aware.
And in that jury room, this woman's been convicted of 3 homicides.
Mm-hmm.
You guys didn't know that.
We did not.
None of you guys knew that.
Correct, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And then hearing all the missing pieces in the trial, the people who didn't testify, there were a lot of holes when you went into the jury room. That were not explained to you. Must have made it more difficult.
It did, which is why we went back through everything just to make sure we didn't miss anything, to make sure that we were 100% on what we were choosing to do.
Was there anything that made you think she might not be guilty?
No.
When you went back to the deliberation room, were there any jurors that were uncertain and some that were certain? Where did you start? What was the foundation for deliberations?
I think probably 10 out of 12 of us were certain. The other 2, we helped them go back to what they needed to learn to kind of make up their mind. And then, we just kind of went from there.
Did you guys look at any additional evidence once you were back there? Because I know that not all of the evidence was presented in court and they said there was additional. Lori asked you to watch the entire interview, for example, and Trina Kay invited you to do the same. Did you guys do any of that?
We did. That was actually one of the first things we did, because what we saw was only clip-its. And going back through it, it was actually kind of the whole interview that was like that. She asked us to watch the whole thing, but the whole thing was pretty much those clip-its, other than her laughing, smiling about, she was kind of just at peace. Like, she was just sitting there, her legs were crossed, she was sitting all the way up on the seat with no shoes on, just her legs were crossed like she was in her own home.
Lori made a big deal out of being called nonchalant or calm throughout the entire trial. Didn't think it was really fair. Was that something that affected you guys? Her calmness or nonchalantness?
Yes. Being that calm when everything happened, it's not something that you would normally be calm about. You'd expect to be sad, asking how your brother's doing, since he was the one that got injured during it too. She didn't do any of that. She already knew it happened, and she just went with it like that.
Did you want her to testify?
I guess, I don't know. Yes, seeing Charles's sister's reaction when they did say she pled guilty was really relieving. It made all of us feel really good that they got justice.
Can we get your first and last name?
Natasha Smith.
Natasha Smith.
Also known as Tosh Reed Tucker, though.
Tosh Reed Tucker?
Yes.
Can you spell that?
TASS, and then my last name is Reed Tucker, REED-Tucker.
Do you plan to go watch a bunch of stuff about this case now, or are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe we're told that there's a Netflix documentary, and you can basically just Google it. Everything will pop up. So that's probably what I'm gonna do when I get home.
You're gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah,
And you really didn't know anything about this case coming on as a juror?
No, and I told my grandma that I got requested for jury, and she asked if I know anything about it. I told her the name, and her jaw dropped. Like, I was supposed to know who she was. Like, she thought it was insane that I didn't know what was happening, but I just moved here 2 years ago as of March, so I didn't really know anything to begin with, but my grandma did, and she thought I was just crazy for not knowing.
Where'd you live previously?
Minnesota.
And so your grandmother was able to keep a tight lip on things?
She did, yes, she did.
A fun discussion with her tonight.
Yeah, and I actually see her tonight too, because my mom just flew in from Minnesota, so I'm gonna go see them after this, and we're probably gonna watch everything.
We'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.